Welcome, myself R. Kavita, Assistant Professor, Department of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science, working at KIT, Kalinganath Karunanidhi Institute of Technology. In this video lecturing, I am going to discuss about process flow in web interface design. First, let us see what is a process flow. In web interface design, process flow refers to the sequence of steps a user takes to complete a specific task or goal within a website or application. Sometimes tasks are unfamiliar or complicated and require leading the user step by step through a process flow. It has long been common practice on a web to turn each step into a separate page. While this may be the simplest way, break down the problem, it may not lead to a better solution. For some process flow, it makes sense to keep the user on same page throughout the process. The process flow patterns: interactive single page process, inline assistant process, configurator process, overlay process, static single page process. First, let us discuss about interactive single page process. Consumer's product comes in a variety of shapes, sizes, textures, colors, etc. Online shoppers will not only have to decide that they want shoes, but they do want blue suit shoes and what size width do they want them in. In the end, the selection is constrained by the available inventory. As the user makes decision, the set of choices get more and more limited. This type of product selection is typically handled with a multi-page workflow. On one page, the user selects a shirt and its color and size. After submitting the choice, a new page is displayed. Only when the user arrives at this second page does he find out that true navy shirt is not available in the medium size. The gap the online clothing retailer accomplishes this kind of product selection in a single page. The purple set is available in all sizes. Hovering over the dark blue set immediately discloses that this color is only available in XS and S sizes. Here is an example. When we hover over the purple set, it shows the sizes available. When we hover over the navy blue set, it shows it's available only in two sizes. Inline assistant process. Another common place where multiple pages are used to complete a process is when adding items to a shopping cart. So what magic can we apply to move this from a multiple page experience to a single page experience? Instead of thinking about cart as a process, we can think about it as a real world object. Given this mindset, the cart can be realized in the interface as an object and can be made available on the page. The Gap employed an inline assistant process pattern for its shopping cart when it relaunched its site for a few years back. For example, if you consider this page, they have add to bag button in context is available on the context for selecting the sweater pattern and size. In inline shopping cart, the page cart is not a separate page. Instead, it is an interface element that is tied to each page. It is available as a drop-down set. It is really available to add items to or to open up and manage any item. Here is the page. Dialog overlay process. Any page switch is an interruption to the user's mental flow. In addition, any context switch is a chance for user to leave the site. We seek an experience that has little mental friction as possible, but sometimes the step-by-step flow is necessary. The Netflix approach uses a dialog overlay process to encapsulate a multi-step flow inside a dialog overlay. Overlays allow us to keep the context of the page yet present a virtual space to conduct a conversation with the user. Discover.com recently expanded its account section with a more detailed profile. The profile captures things like your payment date, mobile fraud alert, paperless statement, and general contact information. The overlay pop-ups when you first enter your account. Here is the example. First, we have invitation to set up a profile. When entering an account, a dialog overlay is presented with an invitation to set up a profile. A light box effect is used to focus the user on the task of profile setup. The pleasing visual adds a level to the engagement factor. Here we have multi-page and final step. In multi-steps, each step is presented as a separate page with the overlay. Each page has a simple clear call to action. Final step, filling out the contact information left until the end. If this step occurs too early in the process, this might make the user think all steps will be this involved. Configurator process. Sometimes a process flow is meant to invoke delight. In this case, it is the engagement factor that becomes most important. This is true with various configurator process interfaces on the web. We can see this especially at play with car configurators. Force gives a configurator that allow user to build their own force. Being able to tweak the colors, wheels, interior and options for the car and see the result in real time is an engaging experience. If you see in this example, the user can select the wheels, the wheel accessories, the colors. Static single page process. Apple example illustrate another way to get rid of multiple pages in a process flow. Just put the complete flow on one page in a static single page process. The user see all tasks needed to complete the full process. This can be both good and bad. Seeing just one step to complete the process can encourage user to finish the task. If the single step seems too long or too confusing, the user will more likely bail out of the process earlier. In other words, if placing all tasks on one single page is enough to cause the user to bail out, it is not a good idea. In case of Apple Store, each item is optionally set and it's just a single click to include or exclude an item from purchase. eBay provides two ways to sell an item. An introductory panel gathers the description of the item for sale. This one, the customize your listing option takes the user through a traditional multi-page process. Here is the example. Since the customized flow contains many options for listing an item, it requires a good deal of hand-holding. A multi-page process fits well with guiding the user through a complex set of tasks. The other flow provided by eBay is a simplified static single-page process. Here is the example for static single-page process. Thank you.